What's up, everyone? For some of you, the nonsense associated with Christmas is over. I only wish that I could be so lucky. Just a little more humbug to go through before this is finally in the history books where it belongs. But just for the heck of it... My thoughts exactly.
Epic fail.
Okay, let's try them side by side. Yeah. And now for the significance of this animated Feliz Navidad Snoopy. I did not get this for myself. My folks have a bunch of these animated battery-powered things that play various Christmas somethings or anothers, and I think it's about time that I contributed to their collection. This is my present to the folks. If they already have one, then I'll bring it back with me, and I'll be like, oh, this is why I don't go shopping around Christmas. I can never guess correctly. So we're going to put that in that shopping bag over there that was used for the office party holiday something or another's, and keep a little bit of paper products out of the landfills that way. Yay, I can be all green, tree hugger, hippie, and blah, 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 with that sort of stuff. So this is going to be nothing at all compared to Alfred from Alfred.tv's rap videos. I don't mean like rap, I mean like wrapping presents, but I'm going to need a bigger shovel at the rate I'm going. So this vlog is going to be a little bit more involved than most. It's going to be 2016's answer to the 2006 Christmas highlights reel. And instead I'm going to call it Holiday Humbug Highlights Reel or something like that. Basically, this is going to be about, the trip I take for the family get-together and stuff like that, and you're going to hear the sound change if I want to record anything outside of the Geek House, because the point-and-shoot will be doing all the recording work and whatnot, kind of like other attempts at holiday videos. Now, my folks are big privacy nuts, so you're probably not going to see them, but I'm thinking of stopping at a few places on the way down, and I really don't know how involved this video is going to be in terms of the zoo that's going to be taking place later tonight. But I did have a few places I wanted to stop, and I wanted this to be similar to the highlights reel from 2006 because, holiday specials kind of fell by the wayside with this whole YouTube thing, so I'm already changing some plans. I was going to stop at the 99 restaurant on the way down to use up a little bit of a gift card I've had sitting around, but I think I'll get more than enough calories between now and the end of the day, such that I should save that for another day on this vacation week. Maybe the day when I head out grocery shopping or something and take another road trip. So, let's go through the Christmassy stuff. Yes, I did not get any presents, but that could change this afternoon. Could be the case that the folks sent a card and they're going to have one with something, to buy myself a present with or something like that. But as you already know, I'm not really too big on the whole presents thing anyways. And quite frankly, I'm not too big on this whole holiday thing with the get-together after Christmas. This was originally put together in order to not have to pull the kids away from their toys, but it's been over 10 years now. Those kids are grown up now, so I don't know why the folks are still doing this, but they are, so I'm just going to have like a token show up and whatnot and bring some Scrooge movies. I know Dad has an old DVD player that he could probably pop one of those in, but there probably isn't much left for Christmas stuff on TV at this point. But yeah, by the way, the folks in Canada, happy Boxing Day. Don't punch anyone too hard. Well... yeah, I'm sure that Canadians get those jokes all the time. By the way, I'm not taking the turd Sheba in its usual carrying case. I'm actually using this carrying case to, at least that's good, I'm actually taking it for the scanner. Interesting that a little flatbed scanner fits inside a laptop thingy, but, they're the same size, so what are you going to do? Apparently, Dad has some old pictures he doesn't know what he wants to do with. He's like, I don't want to keep these around, so I'm going to digitize them for him so he can put them on Facebook or something. I just think that bringing the scanner down will be a lot more productive than anything else at this point. Before we head out, let's see if I can do this with one hand. Christmas card rundown so far. The nativity card is from some relatives. A Merry Christmas wreath card, if I could actually hold it right side up, is from someone at the office. And season's greetings, this one is from the folks. And then another season's greetings, this one is from the folks at the 9 to 5 in general. So that's it for cards so far. I'm sure it's nothing too exciting, but this vlog might not be anything too exciting, depending on how things work out. But, right, let's take a little road trip now. We've arrived at our first destination, a Walmart that is closer to the folks' place than my place, that sometimes has things that they don't. We're looking for a turquoise flat bed sheet, and this place is a zoo with post-Christmas returns. This place never gets a crowd. The place is fully loaded on the day after Christmas. This should be interesting. It's probably a good thing I'm not getting groceries here. Oh, and I broke the GPS on the way down. Gotta use it in GPS-only mode. No Wi-Fi. And the Wi-Fi radio needs to be turned off. Whatever. They had it. They had the bed sheets that I've been looking for and a new Nerd Watch, which is no longer in store in my neck of the woods. But I gotta wonder, is putting up with all those people of Walmart really worth it? We continue. We've arrived. So many stupids on the road today. You'd never know Christmas was over. Speaking of never knowing things, you'd never know... Oh, wait, it is still here. Little piece of plywood. Closest thing I had to a basketball court. Everything else fell down, but the hoop is still desperately clinging to this tree, or what's left of it. Folks wonder why I'm so bad at basketball. Already at the folks' place. I didn't have much to practice with when I was little. Looks like people are trying to build this area up. You can actually see neighbors now, and I don't know what's going in over there, but yeah. Things have changed since I was a permanent resident out here in the middle of nowhere. Not hearing any gunfire, though. I understand there's a guy that really loves the Second Amendment that's moved into the neighborhood. Boom, 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 boom. No idea what he shoots in his backyard, but at least he's not bump firing. Yeehaw! Some things never change. No, you're not stealing my seat, Gracie Cat. Well, as you can guess from the camera switch, the trip is over. And this was the worst Christmas event that I have ever gone to. I will not be going to another one. Next year, if I find out that these folks are having the event start at 5 o'clock instead of be over with at 5 o'clock, I'm not there. Or I go down and I hang out with the folks, but I plan on cutting out early because what happened this year tonight is not going to happen again. So... it's not because of anything my stepmother did or anything my dad did or anything. I actually scanned a few old pictures. He was digging through some old family pictures. I brought down the scanner and we scanned a few and put some on Facebook. The relatives were all cracking up and stuff like that. And it was pretty fun. But you know you're in the wrong place when the high point of visiting folks for the holidays is scanning pictures. In the computer room. Oh boy, man, what the heck? It's like one step away from work, and that was the good part of the trip. So here's what happened, and we'll just kind of move in the chair a bit so it's not totally, a still shot. Here's what happened. My stepsisters, who insisted that this thing start at 5 o'clock instead of ending at 5 o'clock, the reason why they wanted to start at 5 o'clock was not so they could watch all the kids open the presents all at once. They start at 5 o'clock because it's 5 o'clock somewhere. One of them brought over some cheap wine. And that was the end of this thing being anything good whatsoever. They turned their mother's house into a bad college party. Seriously. They started getting, they got drunk, and then they parked their drunk asses at the table, gabbled away, hollered at their own mother like she was some kind of maid or something. We need more crackers, we need more stuff at the table, blah, 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 blah. Oh, man, come on. That's no way to treat your mother. And that's no way to act in front of kids either. Because my younger step-relatives, who have babies and kids now... They got their kids wandering around the steps, cackling away like a bunch of crazy old Well, let's not go there. But they're all cackling away because they're all drunk, and their drunk asses are parked at the table. You know you're in the wrong place when the little kids are better behaved than the older folks and whatnot. Yeah. I will not be going to another one of these. If I find out next year that I'm not going to be going through this again, and then I got out of that mess, I'm driving back, it's 30-something and it's raining out, hoping and praying that nothing's freezing, because we've had problems with black ice, and it's a long slog of a drive out of the woods in the dark from their place. It wasn't worth it. To leave, to have to say, enough's enough, I'm out of here, because they're sitting drunk off their ass, and no doubt they would keep on going until the booze ran out, then they would give it like another hour or so to sober up so they could drive again. You know, you consider that my dad and my stepmother, they're early, they go to bed early, they're early to bed, early to rise. So am I. I'm practically hardwired to go to sleep like 8, 9 o'clock at night and then get up at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. Sleeping in for me means I sleep in till 7 a.m. I am just that much programmed for the early morning shifts and to mid-afternoon shifts that I work at the 9 to 5. So, if I had stayed there and I was the last person out of the house, I probably would have been inebriated from fatigue. Trying to drive when I'm normally sleeping. And things have been colder and potentially icier, although it is warming up out there now as the warm front moves in. We're going to have 50s tomorrow, and then it's going to ice up tomorrow night, whatever's still on the roads after sunset tomorrow. So, yippee, skippy, ice crap. So, might do the Great Sift trip tomorrow, just to declutter the place a bit, even though I'm adding more to it later. Alright, how about we talk about some of this stuff that's on the table, and let's wrap up this little video thing here. But yeah, this is the worst of these things that I've been to. I don't intend on going through this crap again. Period. So I thought one of the stepsisters, before she sat down and got, 3 sheets to the wind, I thought she got me a board game. Like, here, Jay, here's your present. I open it up, and it's a gigantic board game-sized thing of chocolate. It's like, hey, Russell Stover makes board games? And of course, there's a little Jay stocking with some more candy in it as well. Yeah. Oh, yeah, give the fat guy some more sweets. Yeah, moving right along. Final Christmas card is from the folks. A little picture of a moose and whatnot. It's something about, thank you for keeping our forest tree full of some recycled paper, something or another. The earth-friendly alternative, etc. The moose card talks about seasons of peace and joy. And there goes the moose card. This was the card with the money for a present. The other one was just an extra one they sent out just to send another card. Or maybe they bought too many or something like that. So I did get something. And of course I did get the chocolates and things like that. But I'm not that big on presents anymore. Also, we were digging through some old family stuff. Dad was having one of those things where he's like, "Hey man, do I really need to keep this stuff anymore?" And some interesting things, mostly sentimental stuff. This is my baby ring. You would have one of these things on your finger in the hospital as a newborn baby. So I was like, what the heck is this thing in this Zales diamond box? Like, is that your old engagement ring from when you proposed to Mom? Dad's like, oh no, this is your baby ring. Believe it or not, this little thing once fit on your finger. And there it goes.
Epic fail.
Now, perhaps the most interesting find was also one of the oldest. The most interesting thing to come out of all this is actually, I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to old books, but it's not every day you run into something like this. Dad was joking about how I should take this to an antique shop somewhere, but because of what it is, I won't. This is a St. Joseph Daily Missal given to my mother when she was confirmed in the Catholic Church in the early 60s. Now, the early 60s makes this very interesting because that's roughly the time of the Second Vatican Council, and things changed drastically. This tells me a lot about the environment that she grew up in and why she was the way she was when it came to religious observances, and why I was dragged to Mass as a little kid and treated the way that I was. by the more Roman side of the family, so to speak. This tells me a lot, because this is what she grew up in. This is what my grandfather was involved with. This is what she was involved with. This is why the whole house stopped whenever the Pope came on TV. Everybody get to the living room. The Holy Father's on TV. This is the kind of old school, really strict observance that she grew up in. Yeah, the bookmark she was using was from a First Communion in 1958. But, yeah, it's an old book. A very old book. Not everything's in color. It definitely looks like 50s and 60s. But what tipped me off that it was a service book was these rainbow this rainbow bookmark, very frayed, very used. This thing was made to go back and forth to church with you. This is, nowadays you go to a Catholic church, you'll find these things in the pews, but this harkens back to a day when if you joined a church, you got one of these to take home and use for devotional material. The closest thing that I can relate this to is the Treasury of Daily Prayer over here. This thing I actually bought for myself as part of the Sangria shelf of various Lutheran books that I was curious about. But this has the same rainbow color. I gotta look up what the colors were. Each of these is supposed to go somewhere. But this thing is actually meant to stay at home. It's not really meant to go to church or not. It's not really meant to go to church with somebody. There's the service book takes over for hymnals and orders of service and things like that. But there's prayers of the day. There's passages to read. There's psalms. What's in the middle? So that's what this looked like. But this thing's meant to be kept in. Some music and everything. But there's stuff, this is meant to be kept at home, and it's softer, so it's meant to be kept open all the time, and you flip between the pages and things along those lines. But this thing is meant to go back and forth to Mass with somebody. And look at this, look at the ink and stuff like that, how it's all monochrome, drawn up with ink and things like that, like an old book. You really have to find, special paper in order to find any color illustrations. Now the thing is, because this is contemporary to the Second Vatican Council, there's still a heavy use of Latin in the Mass in those days. So half the things in Latin when it comes to the orders of service. In nomine Patri et Filii et Spiritus Sancto, Amen. Okay, because there was some kind of really special. So yeah, everything on the left is Latin, and everything on the right is English. This thing, and I double checked all of this. This thing's from. This is contemporary to the Second Vatican Council when everything was kind of loosened up a bit. There's still people out there that complain about Vatican II, but. This thing says nice things about Pope Pius, the Pope before John Paul II. We are going back quite a ways. But look at this. Oh, look, the Nicene Creed in Latin. Profession of faith. Well, the one I hear the most when I attend services in more traditional churches like this. But it's just crazy, This gives me a lot of insight into the kind of, and I'm going to take a look at this thing. And also, this book's from late 50s, early 60s, not yellowed. Not yellowed at all. Maybe because, it sat somewhere or something like that. But I'm actually going to take a look at this thing. And I'm going to compare, contrast, hic est like sanguinis me novi is what? Oh, for this is the chalice of my blood of the new and eternal covenant. That's wordier than the actual text. The mystery of faith which shall be shed for you and for unto many for the forgiveness of sins. The guy raises the chalice, it gets consecrated, the ding 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 bell goes off, and whatnot. This is something. Mostly because of when it was published. It also gives me a ton of insight into what my mother grew up in, why she was the way she was, and why I went through what I went through when I was being dragged to services as a little kid. And I hated it, because I had no idea what was going on. Well, if they had followed through and I had gotten one of these, it might have been a completely different story. The heavy Protestant influence in my family from my father's side might not have had the effect that it had, and maybe things would have been different. But it will be very, very interesting. Oh, look, there's one of those special colors. Oh, the Ascension. Woohoo! This is one of those special colorful things. When you look at old books like this, you get to a point where the paper gets better and it has a few full color thingies in here. I think it's because of the publishing that was out published stuff that was out at the time. Now some of this is based on there's stuff for Good Friday, there's more stuff for Good Friday. This is for Easter week and stuff. The Saturday before Easter, Wednesday and Easter week. So I'm going to take a look at this thing. This is going to give me so much insight into what that entire part of because that whole part of the family was uniform totally Catholic. They all walked to church back in those days. Absolutely. I mean, I'm talking Italian folks here, but it's like, this is so eye-opening as to the kind of environment my mother grew up in. Wow. I'm going to do some more reading of this and maybe do a video about it or something later on so we can go over some of this. But this thing is going to give me so much insight into why things were the way they were for me when I was being dragged to services as a little kid. Because this tells me a lot about my mother's background and all this and the way things were when she was growing up. I mean, even the treasury of daily prayer doesn't fill the same niche as this thing does. And even this thing's modern-day descendants don't fill the same niche as this thing does. You know, you have to go to a church and find these things in the pews nowadays. I don't know if there's still places out there that give these out. Fascinating stuff. Of course, I am a nerd, so reading old books is kind of sort of... So, an interesting humbug day. However, things will be different next year because that mess I went through with the step relatives all getting 3 sheets to the wind while I'm over watching YouTube in the computer room because everyone else is drunk. No, that's not going to happen again. Well, better luck next year. I gotta check out that book though. See what's in it. See how it's presented. And learn a lot about that side of my family and why they were the way that they were. Should be very interesting. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.